Okay, well, hello everybody. Thank you for being here and welcome to the United States Forest Service's presentation on the Shasta Trinity National Forest fee proposal. My name is Jessica Matthews. I am the program director at the Mount Shasta Bioregional Ecology Center. And I'm here today with my colleague, Bianca Garza, who will act as moderator. She is our communications and development director. And then I'm here with Becky Cooper and Jennifer Womack with the Shasta Trinity National Forest, the Shasta McCloud Management Unit. But before we begin and I hand it over to them, there's just a couple or a few housekeeping items that I wanted to go over. First is that I would like to remind everybody that we are recording this presentation and that we will share the link to the recording on our social media platforms, through our newsletter, and on our website. All participants are being muted throughout the presentation and during the question and answer session. However, you can ask questions in the chat box and we'll do our best to get to all of them during the question and answer period after the presentation. If you would like additional information on this proposal, you can go to the Shasta Trinity National Forest information page on this. We'll go ahead and put the link to that in the chat as well. And then just a friendly reminder that the comment period for this specific proposal ends September 6th, which is this coming Monday. Additionally, all comments need to be provided in writing and sent directly to the National Forest. You can send it via email or physically mailed to them. That information will be put in the chat box and it'll also be a part of the presentation. But the Mount Shasta Bioregional Ecology Center is really happy to be able to host this presentation and provide the community with information regarding this proposal, as well as an opportunity to ask questions. And if you feel like your questions have not been answered in the presentation or in the Q&A session, or have questions that come up a little bit later, Becky and Jennifer encourage you to email them and they would be happy to get back to you. We'll put that email in the chat box as well. I think Jen will also be talking about that in the presentation. But other than that, that's all the housekeeping items for today. And without further ado, I will hand the presentation over to Becky and Jennifer. Thanks again for being here.
Well, good evening, everyone. So thank you again for your willingness to host us and allow us to do this. So as Jessica mentioned, I am Becky Cooper. I'm the Recreation Program Manager for the Shasta McCloud Management Unit. And so I have the wonderful job of overseeing all of the recreation opportunities on Forest Service lands within our community.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Womack. I work in recreation special uses. I oversee all of our commercial operations on the forest, outfitter and guides, rec events, other types of events that occur on the forest. And I was the project lead for this fee proposal project. And I just want to apologize in advance. In typical Zoom fashion, my husband's not home and my 3-year-old is currently running around on the deck. So I'm gonna do my best to not be distracted and hopefully he doesn't make a surprise appearance, but just giving you all a heads up about that. So we can go ahead and get started with the PowerPoint presentation. Bianca, if you can pull that up. So while Bianca's doing that, my goal for this presentation is to run through and provide information. So you can put questions in on the chat, but I don't even think I can see them. So we'll address questions at the end. And also I only have a few slides, and at one of the last slides, we'll go over what is on our website and how people can submit their comments. So let's go ahead and get started. We can go to the next slide. So the Federal Lands and Recreation Enhancement Act of 2004, that was enacted, which it allows the Forest Service to charge fees at recreation sites where we have enough amenities to be able to do so and retain those fees in order to help manage recreation on the forest. So like I mentioned, we have to have a certain number of amenities at a site in order to charge a fee. So we can't charge a fee just for the general recreation area if we don't have facilities out there present. And like I mentioned, 95% of those fees that we collect remain on the forest where they're generated. 5% of those fees go back to the region. So for California, we're in Region 5. All the 5% goes back to that pot of money, and individual forests can apply for those funds, kind of like a grant situation. Next slide. So how are we currently using the money that we are collecting on the forest? So we currently use that money for restroom and site cleaning, toilet pumping, trash collection, water system maintenance and testing. We have human waste pack out bags for Mount Shasta for the wilderness, search and rescue support, avalanche center support, repair and maintenance of our sites, signing, security and enforcement, some new improvements, and also workforce salary. Go ahead and next slide. And the current fee sites that we have on the Shasta Trinity National Forest includes our Mount Shasta Summit 3-day pass, the annual Mount Shasta pass. We've got the McLeod Boat Ramp day use and annual pass, developed campgrounds, developed group campsites. We've got some lookout and cabin rentals. And down on Shasta Lake, Trinity Lake, and Lewiston Lake, we also have a concessionaire that manages several day use and overnight sites around those areas. So this fee proposal, we have 18 new overnight fee sites that we're proposing to add to our fee system. So we've got 15 campgrounds that we would be adding, and 2 new cabin rentals and 1 new lookout rental. And the campgrounds, 2 of them would be coming into the system at $15 a day, or sorry, 13 would be coming at $15 a day, and 2 of them would be coming in at $20 a day. And then we have 20 developed day use sites, which is new. If you can go back to the previous slide real quick, which that would be our standard amenity pass. We're calling it the Shasta Trinity Recreation Pass. There's 20 sites, and it would be $5 per day, or there would be a $40 annual pass for that pass. And if you paid the $5 or the $40, that would get you access to all 20 of those sites. There's 2 sites on the Trinity River, 4 sites in the Trinity Alps Wilderness trailheads, 3 sites along the Everett Memorial Highway, 6 sites along the McLeod River Loop, 2 sites that access the PCT, and 3 other areas. Next slide. So we're also looking at increasing some of our fee sites in this proposal. We would be proposing to increase 22 of our campgrounds, group campgrounds, lookouts, and cabins. So you can see the breakdown there. 5 of the campgrounds would go from $6 or $10 to $15. 3 campgrounds would go from $10 to $12 to $20. 4 campgrounds would go from $10 or $15 to $25. And 1 cabin rental would go from $75 to $150 per night. And then our annual Mount Shasta pass, we're proposing to increase that from $30 to $50. Next slide. So the how we will use the money if that proposal does get approved. So we would continue to fund the current uses that we talked about in the previous slide. And additionally, we would look at replacing infrastructure that's dilapidated, picnic tables, vault toilets, fire rings. We'd also upgrade these facilities. Some of our picnic tables, for instance, and campfire rings need to be updated to the ADA required facilities, provide additional security and more law enforcement patrols. So that would also include hiring more seasonals to clean and patrol the sites. It would also include snow removal. We'd partner with Siskiyou County to help support the snow removal efforts on Castle Lake and Everett Memorial Highway, especially in our recreation sites. We also provide more interpretive and informational at these sites, whether it's through staff or interpretive signs. So why here, why now? So congressionally, our appropriated money that gets allocated each year has stayed the same nationally for probably a few decades now, but regionally that funding has decreased. Our outdoor recreation use has been increasing at exponential rates. The costs associated with toilet pumping, garbage rates, and just the cost of materials to maintain our sites have also been increasing. And it's becoming more and more difficult to provide the basic services that we need to go. Okay. It's becoming more difficult to provide basic services at our developed sites and repairing the infrastructure. And fee sites provide a revenue tool for us in order to maintain these sites. Alternatively, we might need to start considering closing some of these sites if we don't find more ways to fund the operation and maintenance of these sites. Next slide. So other options we've looked at. So use of partners and volunteers. So historically, volunteers don't necessarily want to pick up garbage and clean restrooms. We're exhausting the same volunteer pools. So there is a limited number of people, and there's a lot of organizations locally that seek out volunteers. The grant money, so usually grant money is available for new development, but not maintenance of current infrastructure. There's also high competition for grant funding between the many partners and organizations that seek out grant money, also other forests. And donations. So we did set out donation tubes at several of our recreation sites in 2019. And the total amount of money that we've generated from these donation tubes is $16,037. So that's since 2019. So not a whole lot of money has come in through the donation route. So quick overview. So currently 63% of our sites, of our developed sites, day use and overnight are free. And if this proposal was approved and went into pass, I cannot see the slide. I think it says 40, is it 41%? Our faces are covering the
47.
47%. So if the proposal does get approved, then that 40-some% will remain, Oliver, will remain free. So the majority of our dispersed sites will remain free. The fee proposal is just referencing our developed sites.
So, okay, I think we're gonna try, and if Jen needs to go, then she can do so and I can take over.
Sorry, I'm back.
Okay.
I think there's just another, go ahead and go to the next slide. Just go inside. Okay, so for more information and for clarifying questions, we're at that point. We have a website that you can check out. Bianca, I don't know if you can switch over to the website real quick and we can run through that.
Yep, 1 second.
Okay. So here is our website that covers the recreation fee changes. So it starts off, the proposed developed recreation fee changes. There's an option where you can provide comments. It's an ArcGIS map. So the best way that we found out to be able to access some of these hyperlinks is if you're using Google Chrome. It works in Edge a little bit, but Google Chrome seems to be the best. So if you keep scrolling down, so there's several hyperlinks here, proposal list with sites and prices, link to full fee proposal report that has photos of all of our rec sites, the virtual town hall PowerPoint, which is all the PowerPoint slides that we're going over in this presentation. And then there is a fact sheet. So, and then a little bit further down, there's a link to the forest map with all the fee sites. And then down here, it shows how to provide comments. So there's a few different ways so that map, that's the very first, it's the storyboard. You can go into that and you can navigate to individual sites and leave comments there. Again, you'll probably want to use Google Chrome for that. The email, if you want to send an email with your comments, there's the email link, sm.fs.stnf.feeprop@usda.gov. If you want to send written comments, you'll send it to, there's the address for written comments. And you can scroll down a little bit further. If you have more questions that we're not able to respond to in this meeting, there's my phone number there, the 530-925-9306. And then there's a link to the news release. So that gives you a brief overview of our website and how to get more information here. So now we can bounce back to the presentation. So now we can move into questions. The next slide, if Bianca, if you just want to cruise to the next slide, I just want to clarify. This slide shows how you can email your comments directly to us. You can also snail mail your comments. This address is our Mount Shasta Ranger Station. So those are the two specific ways you can jot down how to get us your comments, because we don't want to accept your comments on this information session. This session's geared towards answering questions that you might have that you would need answered in order for you to submit a comment. But we don't want to hear your actual comments on here because we wouldn't have time to, that would take up a lot of the time that we have for questions. So Bianca, do we have any questions in the chat?
We don't have any in the chat yet. However, I have some that were emailed to me. Yeah, so let me go ahead and move into those. And Renee Casterline, I see that your hand is up. If you could put that in the chat, that would be wonderful. So you went over other options. One of the questions is, what other sources of funding can the forest explore? So maybe there's a little bit more that y'all could elaborate on.
Oh,
Do you want
can
me
you
to
say that
take
one
that
again?
lead, Jen?
Yeah, go ahead, Becky.
Okay. So we are exploring every type of opportunity for funding out there right now as we can. Right now, we the last year and a half, we had CARES Act money because of COVID. And so truthfully, most of the non-fee recreation sites that were open this year, such as Castle Lake and McLeod River Falls locations, were funded and maintained and opened and kept open because of the CARES Act money. that money was officially going to be done September 1st. And so we had to spend any and all money that we had available for that by today. And so we went ahead and put a large portion of that for us just within a toilet pumping contract to cover the cost of maintenance of pumping facilities, because it basically explodes with use during the summer season. So we've got that for the next 5 years, starting this year, which was FY21, the fiscal year 21. Congress passed the Great American Outdoor Act. And so we, as an agency, all of our districts across the forests, across the nation, all submitted projects. And with those, we had to make sure that they were NEPA ready. And so the projects that we submitted, 3 out of the 5 that we submitted for FY21 were approved. And so this year, as we are moving forward with doing additional maintenance on the Sisson-Callahan Trail with a partnership with the Student Conservation Association, we also plan on refabbing all of the rock fascia at the McLeod River Falls. With it deteriorating and vandalism over the years has, crumbled all of the rock walls. And so we're going to be replacing all of that. And then the third one is trying to get electricity at our host sites at Fowler's and Cattle Camp campgrounds, because those are our busiest and most popular campgrounds. And so those are located on the river loop. We were not successful, our forest was not successful at all for FY22 with GAOA, because the competition is so high again across the nation. And then the projects that we submitted for FY23 were just waiting. And so that money is geared toward working on projects that are deferred maintenance with developed recreation and trails. And with what we're seeing is trail projects are really the ones that are being emphasized, just because of the fact that our trail funding has really decreased over the years for our agency. We also use, as much as we can, stewardship funds and KV funds, and those come directly from our timber sales. And so anytime we have a timber sale on our forest, and specifically on our district, there is a certain amount of money that comes back to us to do project work. And so we have been very successful in being able to continue to do some project work with those. And so an example is we replaced the vault toilet at Alma Campground 3 years ago using stewardship funds. We also have about 5 or 6 trail projects that are focused and going to be using those stewardship monies to be able to do that, because with stewardship funds, it's really focused on restoration projects. And then for KV projects is we've been able to replace the plantation signs along the McLeod or Everett Memorial. We're going to be installing interpretation signs on the Lollipop Trail. And so again, we're capitalizing as much as we can. There is certain type of requirements for those type of funds and how we can use them, but we're continuing to branch out as much as possible with where we can on continuing to manage and fund our program.
Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and jump over to the chat where we do have some questions. In an effort to speed this up, I'm not going to give all the backstory unless it is pertinent. The question is, what are the legal requirements for public participation? Because I think that there are folks who want to request extending the comment period.
Hey, Jen, you're muted.
Oh. Let me help her out with that. 1 second.
Okay, perfect. And thankfully Dad has arrived, so I can now focus without multitasking. But so the requirements that we have for public participation, this is a different process than our NEPA projects. Many of you might be familiar with our NEPA process, National Environmental Policy Act, which has specific scoping requirements. That's different than this fee proposal process, where we have public involvement. And 30 days is the recommended time frame that they have us do for the public involvement. So we decided to do a full field season. For us, that's typically Labor Day or Memorial Day to Labor Day. So that was the time frame we wanted to try to outreach to the most people. So what we did was we posted signs at all of the fee sites at the very beginning of the season. We did the press release. We reached out to our partners. We were hoping to do a couple of these virtual town halls, but obviously the one was canceled due to a lot of our leadership is wrapped up into fires, and the summer just kind of got away from us. We've also notified all of our federal, state and local legislators and political leaders. Let's see what else we've done. We posted on social media. That's pretty much all the outreaches that I can think of off the top of my head that we did. We notified all the tribes. And we've updated our website and have been updating that regularly as people have called or emailed with questions. We've gone to a couple of board meetings from our partners, providing information and answering questions in that avenue. So those are all the outreach efforts that we've done for the fee proposal. The other piece is the Federal Register notice, which the Washington office will do at some point, and that's for all the new fees that we're proposing. So that will be a 6-month period that people will be able to comment to that Federal Register notice. I don't know when they're going to launch that out. I know those Federal Register notices get launched, I think, a few times a year. And like I said, I believe those periods are like 6 months for people to comment. So once all of this public involvement phase is over, we have, it will go back to our forest to review the comments, see if we're going to make any changes. And then it goes to the recreation RAC, which is this board of individuals that gets, I don't know, Becky, you might be able to explain what the RAC is, but there are several different members of different organizations or genres of groups of people, or they represent different genres of groups of people, like outfitter and guides, I think tribes, local political leaders, recreation, industry, all these different facets of types of people. They make up this board, and this board gets approved by the USDA, and that board goes through the entire proposal, reviews all the comments, reviews all of the outreach that we did or attempted to do, and they come up with a recommendation for the proposals. And their recommendations could be like, you know, increasing or lowering fees, removing fees, you know, pretty much whatever they want to do is their recommendation. That goes to our regional office, who then makes the final decision of what gets approved, what doesn't get approved from the proposal. Hopefully that answered the question. We are still waiting from USDA to approve the rec rack. It has not been approved yet. They're anticipating that to happen sometime this fall. We've been waiting for about 1.5 years now, I think, for that to be approved. So, which is why there has not been a whole lot of, there hasn't been any fee proposals in California since 2015-ish, I think, because I believe that was the last time there was a rec rack in place. We were having to use BLM's rec rack in the past. So it's likely that there will be a lot more proposals from different forests working their way through this process now that we're getting close to this rec being approved.
That definitely went into depth as far as the process goes. I did notice that you said the recommended requirement. Is that the same as the legal requirement, which was what the specific question was?
You know, it's the recommended requirement. I think the only legal requirement is the 6 months of the Federal Register notice.
Okay,
And the Washington office is the one that sends that out. So we're not locally in control of when that gets released.
okay.
So
Yeah,
I think that the key thing to just, emphasize is that the recommended was 30 days.
Yep.
And we actually have gone out for, it's going to be total either 70 or 76 days. And so we've already, almost tripled what was recommended for us of making sure that we hit the summer season and really allowed people to have more time than what was recommended to provide comments and feedback.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Is the U.S. Forest Service subsidizing recreational activity in campgrounds, and do these pay for itself?
So with that question it's twofold. So with the current campgrounds that we have fees at, is we are pretty much breaking even with being able to maintain them. The non-fee recreation sites is obviously we are subsidizing them with appropriated funds that we're getting from the Forest Service. That funding is continuing to decrease every year, and so it's becoming more challenging for us to maintain those facilities. What is also unique, though, is all of our seasonal staff that maintain all of our facilities across the entire district are 100% funded by the current RIA money. And so we are subsidizing our non-fee sites with using our employees to be able to maintain those sites.
Thank you, Becky.
You're welcome.
I'm going to jump back to my email here and try and be as equitable as possible with the time that we have. Is it at all possible to have a Forest Service hosted forum that will allow discussion before September 6th, or by way of extending the deadline?
So we talked with our forest leadership, and right now there's just a lack of leadership available because they're all tied in on fires. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 fires that are on our forest. So this is it. But all of this information has been on our website, and we did a huge email blast to a lot of people with all of this presentation material and link to the site, how people can call for questions, how to submit comments. So we feel like we've really done our due diligence to try to get this information out there. So that's pretty much it.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Let's see here. What environmental, social, and economic studies on the effects of the tourism economy in Siskiyou County have been done?
So I actually did for my master's a capstone study back in 2018. Some of you might have actually participated in that, but we did a year-long survey off of the Everett Memorial Highway and stopped, I think there was 6 days out of each month. We stopped every 10th vehicle that came down and asked them to participate in a survey. So some of that data that we collected on there was their income and their annual income before tax. And it was across the board. There was over 800 individuals that were surveyed and responded.
Mhm.
So we did collect fee data from that, or income data from that. And we've also had a question on that survey too, about if people would support a fee. the amount that we had put in that question was a $5 fee for a daily pass or a $25 for an annual pass. And there was, let me just see real quick here.
So
For the support, go ahead.
just to back up with that, the idea in this question is whether that data supports the fee proposal, and also wondering if there's somewhere that they can review that data.
Yes, that we can share the link is on our website to the full report.
Okay.
And we can share snippets from it that pertain specifically to this question, but
Okay.
sorry, it's taking me just a quick second here. So income of people that visited sites along the Everett Memorial Highway varied across different income levels. Let's see here. And the majority of respondents, about 2/3, stated that they would support such a fee. 20.9% stated that they would not support it, and 14.4% said they were not sure. The majority of the support for the standard amenity fee came from distant and regional respondents, which was about 70% support from both, with the bulk of the opposition to the standard amenity fee being from local residents. So however, even among local residents, a slight majority would support the fee.
Okay.
So I know that was a lot of information, and it's probably easier for folks to read that for themselves. So we can send that out, but I guess to sum it up, yes, these fees, there would be fees for our high use areas like Bunny Flat, Castle Lake, the McLeod Falls. But overall, that is still a very small percentage of the overall access that people have to the National Forest. And a lot of the locals tend to recreate at dispersed areas versus going to our high use areas. The exception being Bunny Flat in the winter. We do get a lot of locals that go to Bunny Flat in the winter time, but they're also participating in very expensive outdoor recreation activities like snowmobiling, skiing, those type of things. So
Mhm.
they're in a bit higher revenue bracket.
Does the Forest Service have an idea of how much revenue the fees will generate?
We do. It is a guesstimate, and it's based on road counter data that we have. So currently, as of 2019, the total revenue we were generating was just shy of 400,000, I believe. That was from our campgrounds, lookouts, the Summit Pass. And the projected revenue, this is not broken down. This is a total campgrounds, lookouts, fee, Summit Pass, day use sites would be right around $1 million. So I should also note that our annual operating and maintenance costs are estimated around $1 million itself too.
So I'm just gonna throw in there though that, the FAQs sheet that you find on the website is we use SHMU as an example of some of our operating costs and what this would mean for us. And so if this were to move forward, it would go back into our forest and it would go back into our program. It's not being used. That's one of the benefits of the Recreation Enhancement Act, is it goes directly back into where that money was generated. And so what that would allow us to do is not only keep open our recreation sites, but be able to improve them. A lot of our sites are falling apart. We do not have money for deferred maintenance and repairing them. Again, we've got this GAOA available for us, but we're all competing for that money, and it's very difficult to get. And again, it goes directly back to deferred maintenance projects only. And so if we have this fee, is we're able to maintain our facilities for now into the future. It will provide us an opportunity to hire more staff and employees to maintain, oversee these sites, patrol them, you know, keep an eye on the South Fork with all of the dispersed camping that we have going on there, hiring additional law enforcement, helping us with the county and partnering with them to maintain Castle Lake and Everett Memorial during the winter months. And so that really gives us a lot of opportunity to really be able to improve and maintain what we have just within our local jurisdiction.
Thank you for that. Thank you for adding on to that, Becky. And so with the idea that I would go back into the forest, part of the previous question was that, you know, what about the environmental impacts of pushing folks out into the woods who are avoiding the fees? Has there been any data on whether or not that would actually occur? And, you know, what would the effects be?
Yeah, so you know, I can assume we would see some of that. And again, a lot of our data is based off of Mount Shasta. So the large bulk of people that go up the Everett Memorial Highway are visitors. And over 70% of those people said they would support a fee.
Okay.
So
Yeah, and I'm just gonna, you know, add on again with that, Jen, is that's where we are concentrating on having fees where we have more of a visitation that locals aren't using.
Mhm.
And so, again, Jen just said 70% just on Everett Memorial said that they would support it. When you go to places like Oregon and Washington, they've already got the Northwest Forest Pass. When you go to state parks, you have to pay a pass. When you go down to the Southern Forest, there's 5 forests down there that have the Adventure Pass. And so it's just, we're kind of slowly getting in with the times of knowing that to sustain our programs, we need to continue to look at other ways of funding them. And so that's what we're doing. We do not have data to identify and say, yes, more people are going to go out into the woods. Honestly, they're out there now. Last year was a big indicator when COVID hit, how many people came out and started recreating in the forest. And so we are really just trying to figure out how to maintain what we've got out there, knowing that this use is here. Every year we're seeing it continue to grow just on our district. You know, Jen's got that data. You know, we've got 72,000 cars that went down South Fork Road just last year. Over 42,000 went up Castle Lake. And so that use every year, those numbers just continue to increase, no matter what.
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. A lot of questions about the fees being equitable. Would you consider a family, meaning the Forest Service, would they consider a family or car fee?
Yeah, so it's going to mimic the same thing that the Northwest Forest Pass and the Adventure Pass that's down in Southern California. And it is not a per person fee, it's a per family fee pretty much. So it's
Okay.
I think the route that we're going is you purchase the pass and it gets issued, I believe, in 2 people's names. And it doesn't necessarily get assigned to the car, but that person with the pass, they can be in any car. So, and it covers, I think, up to 4 people, but I'd have to look. But essentially, the goal is you're a family, you pay 1 pass. If you're shooting for the annual pass or the $5 pass, you know, you pay the 1 pass fee for your family.
Mhm. Got it. And so how would the Forest Service be collecting fees from so many different locations?
So we're looking into recreation.gov, which is the online system. And that's how both the Adventure Pass and the Northwest Forest Pass are. We're still working out a lot of the kinks of how that would be implemented. But ideally, you know, people could go online and get the pass and print off the receipt. You'd have to put it in your dashboard. I think the other alternatives is we'd probably have vendors around town selling them, just like we do our Christmas tree and summit passes currently, and also at the ranger stations.
Okay.
So, and then for the day use fees is we already have quite a few of our sites have fee tubes out at the locations themselves. And so if someone wanted to just pay the $5 day use fee, we would have envelopes at the site and they would just put their money in the fee tube and put the receipt on their dashboard and call it good.
Good follow-up question. Will we be notified when the Federal Register notice comes out?
Hopefully, I would hope that I would even know when it comes out. Like I said, our Washington office is the one, they have a draft Federal Register notice. So I need to find out when, but I don't think would be that big of a deal to send it out to you folks to let you know, hey, it's gonna be posted. But if you get online to when the Federal Registers, I believe it's like a couple times a year that they come out. So you'll want to do your due diligence and, find out when those get rolled out in case some emergency happens here or I'm gone or, I wouldn't want you to depend on me to send out a notice, hey, it was launched in the Federal Register notice. But we'll do our best to try to let folks know.
Got it. Understood. Understood. Continuing on the equity piece, not only for people of color and those who are economically disadvantaged, but also locals. I've got a few questions about locals. Is there a possibility for there to be a local fee, which would be less than the general fee?
So the local fee is the $40 annual pass. So that is designed for a local pass. If you're going to, that would cover how many? 40 divided by 5. So, 8. How many?
8.
9, 8,
It's 8. It's 8. Don't. It's 8.
8
Visits.
times.
Yeah. So, we've researched and looked at how other forests have done it. The Northwest Forest Pass, they used to have like a 1-day pass, a 3-day pass, a 15-day pass, and then an annual pass. And it started to cost more money to have all these different types of passes than just to have a 1-day pass and an annual pass. So that was one of the lesson learns that we picked up from them is, keep it to a couple different passes. Otherwise, we end up spending more money of that money that we're retaining to maintain campgrounds on just multitude of different passes. But the $40 one is the local pass.
Okay. And would it be possible?
Really quick, Bianca, is to add to that is, we understand that Siskiyou County as a whole is a lower income rural community. And so, as Jen said, is that $40 pass is good for an entire year. It covers an entire year. It covers an entire family. And so some of the conversations that we've had with folks, it's like, I make a choice. I'm independent, I'm single. I have to survive on my own income to do what I would like. And so I balance that. Would I rather choose to have a $40 pass that allows me to go where I would like in the forest if I want to go use these sites that we've got identified specific of where the day use fee is at? Or do I spend an evening out with my friends and go out to dinner here with a couple of beverages for one night and it's the same price? Mm-hmm. And so I kind of balance that. Someone else brought up a movie ticket. If a family wants to go to a movie, they're probably dropping $60 just for a 2-hour movie. And so what we're trying to do is we do acknowledge that. And that's kind of what we're doing is saying, where can we give and take? And this is an opportunity to do that by saying, hey, locals can purchase a pass for a whole year for $40, or, they can go recreate, continue to do dispersed. How often do people go to the McLeod River Falls here? Castle Lake, I know it's a little different, but it is definitely, you know, used heavily by visitors of the area. And I'll just throw in, I did see someone asked about Panther Meadows day use area. That is not on there. And so as Jen said, is if you go to our website, you can actually click on one of the documents and it will provide all of the locations of where the fee is proposed. Or you can look at a map and it shows all the locations.
So that link is actually, did you see that comment? And I went,
I saw that comment. Yeah, I just went and tried it out, and they've been like working some days and not others. So we'll try to get that fixed tomorrow.
okay.
But if you're asked, if you want to know specific, go ahead.
I was going to say the Mount Shasta Regional Ecology Center, we have that list. And so if anybody would like it, we could email it to them as we downloaded it and this all kicked off.
Sounds good. And to add on to someone's question, you know, the Everett Memorial Highway, the sites on there that would be part of the standard amenity fee is Bunny Flat, Red Fir Flat day use, and the Everett Memorial Vista day use site. So Old Ski Bowl, Sand Flat, Panther Meadows, those are still going to be, those are going to be free.
Okay. So we have a few minutes left, coming up on the 1 hour mark. Why isn't the fee proposal subject to NEPA?
That is a great question that I don't have an answer for. It was something that I think is just nationwide, and our agency didn't feel like this had the adverse effects and impacts, because most of the time when we do NEPA, it is dealing with some type of ground disturbance. And since this isn't necessarily a ground disturbance impact, we did not have to follow through with NEPA.
Okay. What limitations are there to future fee increases?
Oh,
What?
well, we'd have to go through this whole process again. So is that the question? Like, is this?
What limitations are there to future fee increases? And the follow-up to that from the same person is, what contracting entities will receive money to provide services traditionally provided by civil servants, excuse me.
So hopefully I'm capturing this question right, but so the fees that we put in this proposal, that is the top fee that we would do. Based on comments received and based on what the rec recommends, the actual fee could be lower, but it wouldn't be higher than what we came out with the public scoping with this information material. So if we wanted to come back in a couple years and increase fees again, we would be going through this whole process again, where we'd have a whole new public involvement phase. So let's see, what was the other part of the question?
The other part of the question is about contracting services. So instead of it being civil servants.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Okay. So we would have to make a decision to have a concessionaire manage our sites, much like what we have around Shasta, Trinity, and Lewiston Lake. And that is not our intent with charging fees. We would be hiring Forest Service employees to maintain sites. So the concessionaires, when you go into those permitting processes, they get to manage the fees at the sites. An example that I could give you locally here would be Reynolds Resort. They're a concessionaire for Siskiyou County. You know, for us, we have Shasta Recreation Company down on the lakes. There are facilities that they manage, but they impose the fee, and they don't have to go through a fee proposal. They can come up with their fee price. I don't know if that answered the question. So if we need to go back, we can return to that one, but hopefully that covered it.
I think it covers it. Yes, I think that covers it. So we only have a couple left and it's 6:01. If Panther is not a day use area, wouldn't the fees at areas bring overuse at Panther Meadows?
So I would say no, because again, the areas that we're talking about are that are just off Everett is Vista Point, Bunny Flat, and then Redford day use area. Those kind of provide a different type of experience than Panther Meadows. And so we don't see a lot of the folks that are using those sites going to Panther Meadows. Again, it's like if someone goes up to Castle Lake, purchases their $5 pass, they turn around and they can go to the River Falls and visit those. And so it really is focused on the visitation of the visitors that are coming into the area and using those day use passes. If we are starting to see any type of increased use in Panther Meadows, then we will have to continue to look at our management strategies on how to handle that. We really have been trying to do, a due diligence with educating people about other recreation opportunities that are around to, disperse use more. We are going to be having 47 miles of new non-motorized trails in that area. And so we're going to continue to educate people to go to other locations. And so that's really our emphasis when we are planning on moving forward with this process and this, opportunity is to continue to grow our program to provide other opportunities out there in a developed aspect.
Got it. Okay, so I think that we've gone through and we're just at an hour. I think we've gone through everybody's questions. Let's see. Jessica is posting, thanks Jess, she's posting how you can ask further questions, how you can, the 3 ways that you can comment, and comments are due by September 6th. So go ahead and capture that information. And again, though, this will be recorded and it will be put on our website, it will be put on YouTube and subsequent platforms that we use, such as Facebook. And so feel free to share it with anybody who you think may be concerned and who wants to send in a comment so that they have a little bit more info. And also we have that list. If anybody would like it, they could email me, Bianca at mountshasta.org, in addition, of course, to probably Jennifer or Becky. But I imagine that you guys are already overwhelmed with a lot of questions and comments on this topic.
I couldn't keep up with all of them.
So I think that's it.
I did see the one question come up a couple times of why isn't this fee proposal subject to NEPA?
I already answered that, Jen.
Oh, did you? Okay,
Yep.
got it.
Okay.
Yep, thank you though. So again, thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Becky, for allowing us to do this into the public. We know it's a little bit late, but better late than never. And hopefully this helps you make a more informed comment.
Thank you again for giving us this opportunity.
Yep, thank you.
Great, everybody.